Maboneng. To some, a little utopia where the latest cultural trends emerge. And to others, the poster child for rampant gentrification in the city of Johannesburg. But no matter which side of the fence you find yourself, it can't be denied that this place has its own kind of flair. Somewhat ambivalent, somewhat complex. And to add to this complexity is Afrosynth, a record store and music label owned and founded by Dave Durbach. You could have dug your pot of gold anywhere around Joburg, but you chose Maboneng. Why is that?
There's a unique kind of vibe here in Maboneng. I've been living here for almost 10 years, since the beginning of the area started picking up. There's people from all over the world, tourists, often people just coming through Joburg, pop in at the store and pick up some records. People spend a lot of time here on weekends, people from other parts of Joburg, other parts of Southern Africa.
Then there's this wonder of a place, Afrosynth. How did it all start? My first instinct is that you were a collector first.
I come from Cape Town originally, I grew up there, and I started collecting records probably as teenager. Maybe I got a turntable in my late teens. I think I started getting some records together. I started DJing soon after that actually, and basically getting more and more into South African music, particularly of that era, the stuff that was pressed on vinyl. So music of the 80s, maybe the early 90s as well. I've incorporated more of that music into my DJ sets as my collection has grown. And then I realized, to take the plunge from being just a collector or a DJ and just buying for myself, there's actually a little niche market potentially for actually selling this music on to other people as well. I mean, it's one part of the business to sell to people overseas, but it wouldn't really be fair to not make this local music available to people locally as well.
And what do you make of the whole phenom that vinyl has made a comeback? I mean, everyone is a collector nowadays.
In my opinion, it's not back in a way that's ever going to come close to how it was back in the day. It's now much more of a niche product, more of a luxury product, particularly considering that records are no longer manufactured in South Africa. It means that any new record is imported, and there's a price attached to that as well. So these days, records are perhaps more trendy, and some people get into it because they think it's fashionable. For the majority of people, I think, who do buy records and put money down on records, it's because they love music. A lot of this music is really the soundtrack to our history and our heritage as well, and I think a lot of particularly younger people haven't had access to this music growing up maybe post-apartheid, and they don't really appreciate or understand just how huge the music industry in South Africa was, and how vibrant and incredible the actual quality of the music itself was, how much diversity as well.
The store itself is curated in a particular way. Bubblegum reigns supreme here. Why that affinity?
In the store here, there's all types of music, but I do give pride of place to South African music. I don't know why, but it's the music that's found me in a way, and it's the music that speaks to me the closest. There's a bubblegum section, a jazz section, plenty of traditional music, and then some new stuff as well. I don't really look at American music the same way anymore because we have better music here as far as I'm concerned.
And what's with disco covers and loaded stories?
Initially, what draws people to vinyl is that you're struck by a big visual image, and the visual side of it is important as well. It's the first thing you see before you even try and listen to a record is the cover, So the art is a sign of the times, and that whole generation of artists are unfortunately passing away if they haven't passed away already. So my goal here is to honor their legacy and preserve the amazing art that they made at a time when their music couldn't reach an international market.
Bubblegum rose to prominence in the 80s and was viewed as throwaway music purely for its hyper-pop sensibility. One of its pioneers is Ntombi Ndaba, who founded Ntombi and Survival. After a long absence, she now calls Afrosynth Records home as one of its artists. Manje sis Ntombi, lo music webubblegum boqwele yonke indawo ngama-80s. Ungena kanjani?
Hey, bekuwuthando kakhulu. Late 80s ngaqala Korea music. Ngasuka lapho after 4 albums ngaya kwa-CCP. Njengoba manje sengila ngathatha ibreak kancane kodwa naku la sengikhona Afrosynth. Kusho ukuthi uDavid Durbach ube nothando kakhulu ngomculo wami. Wangigqugquzela for mina ukuthi ngibuye ngiqhubeke man, and already useyirelease i-album yami abroad.
Lelo gama Ntombi and Survivor lize kanjani?
Hey, kusho ukuthi salicabanga nje neband yami, savele sacabanga ukuthi ukusurvive kusho ukuthini. Uya understand, mawuzimisela into uyayenza uphumelele.
And bekunzima.
Bekunzima for sure, yeah.
Ekhaya kuphi?
Ekhaya kuseNatal eFryhead eMondlo.
Emondlo.
Yeah.
Ungwakabani wena?
Ngingwakwandaba, nguNtombi wakwandaba.
Isakazelo sakini.
Umadela olingode.
Umadela walingode.
Yebo.
Okay. Manje le project le yakho khona manje uyibiza ini? Ingoma zakhona zibizwa ini? Una ngaphakathi?
Hey, kunento emnandi kakhulu kule album because it's a combination of good song, my best. The title of the album is Tomorrow, Kusasa. Bega okungcono. And then it's got 6 tracks inside. Beautiful songs.
I-track ewithandayo wena yini kule project?
Ile ethi Tomorrow vele.
Tomorrow. Ukhuluma ngani?
Hey, ikusasa laziwa mntu wabantu. Noma yini ingenzeka.
Manje uzohamba uye Europe.
Yes.
Maduze nje. Uyoyenzani eEurope?
Kusho ukuthi ngiyopromoter i-album yami le releasewe. Ngibone ukuthi ihamba kanjani ngoba already ama sales ayathembisa mahle kakhulu. So now ngibone ukuthi kufanele ngibe khona so that ngizokwazi ukuthi ama fans ami ngibone.
And laba abantu base Europe bawuthanda kakhulu lo mqulo webubblegum.
Yeah.
Why?
I can't say, maybe bathanda ukujiva kakhulu as much as nathi kube bubblegum sasithanda ukujiva yabona.
Okay, ngiyabonga siswa.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu.
And like all subcultures under the sun, crate digging also has its own class breakdowns and rules of engagement. Different people pop in and out of the store all the time, but there's a particular breed that also comes here. You know, the purists, the nerds, the know-it-alls. What do you make of those people?
Well, when they enter the store, they're all the same to me. They're all record collectors. We share a special relationship, you know, because you might find some guy digging Southern Africa section, might find some guy in the rock and pop section, and you know, those guys might know each other, you know. So automatically it sparks some sort of relationship. So they end up speaking about these records. It's very instrumental in getting people from all walks of life here and collecting music, which is different when you're doing online shopping, you know. Online shopping, then you have to tap to play, which in the record store, you know, everything's just physical. It's just, you know, that little touch, you know, the human touch, the physicalness, you know, the people, you know, all of that musical ambience that you absorb when you're here, which is, I would say, is not the same when you are buying records online. You understand what I'm saying? You can't just sit here and just, you know, look at one record. You have to jump from that. And at the end of the day, your musical knowledge, it grows, you know.
Say what you will about this tale of two cities called Maboneng, but at the end of it all, it is another rich chapter in Josie's narrative. Opposites and all, ambivalence and all.